Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So President Joe Biden just issued a big warning about Social Security, so we'll be going over what he said. Plus, Donald Trump is just hours away from having to pay up his $454 million bond in the state of New York. So we'll be covering that as well, and perhaps will his properties be seized? We'll be covering what's being said right now from the New York Times. But before we go ahead and dive into the main content of today's video, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Plus, if you would like to receive up to $10,000 in free stocks or $10,000 in free cash, in a pinned comment below, I will be leaving a link to Moomoo. All you have to do is once you click on that link is just sign up for a free account and then deposit at least $100. At that point, Moomoo will be sending you at least 5 free stocks worth all the way up to $10,000. And if you'd really just have the cash, all you have to do is once you receive the free stocks is just sell them for what they're worth and then transfer the cash value right back to your bank account. Okay, so diving right into our lead story of today's video, this one is from the New York Times. They're covering Donald Trump being just hours away from perhaps owing the $454 million bond that he is needing to pay up in the state of New York. And Letitia James there is saying that if he does not pay up the full amount, she's going to start seizing his properties in the state of New York. So we're going to be covering what Trump's options are and what is more than likely going to happen. So according to the New York Times, Monday is Judgment Day for former President Donald J. Trump, the day he fears a $454 million judgment against him might come due. Hoping to stave off a financial crisis, Mr. Trump is racing the clock to block the New York Attorney General from collecting the monetary penalty imposed in a civil fraud case. The Attorney General, Letitia James, who brought the case accusing the former president of fraudulently inflating his net worth, has the power to freeze many of his bank accounts and begin the long, complicated process of seizing some of his properties. Under New York law, Ms. James could have enforced the $454 million judgment once it became final last month, but she provided Mr. Trump a 30-day grace period that expires on Monday. Although Ms. James could move to collect at any moment, she is not expected to take any aggressive action on Monday. To avoid a humiliating outcome, Mr. Trump must find a company willing for a fee to post a $500 million bond on his behalf, promising that it will cover the judgment if he loses a pending appeal and fails to pay. A bond of that size would have strings attached. Mr. Trump would need to pledge more than $550 million in collateral to the company, including as much cash as possible. That is the problem. Despite Mr. Trump's boast that he is worth billions, much of his wealth is tied up in real estate, which bond companies rarely accept as collateral. A recent New York Times analysis found that as of last month, he had more than $350 million in cash, plus stocks and bonds he could easily sell, but much less than what he would need to post in collateral. His lawyers, after being spurned by more than 30 bond companies, recently called their chances of securing a bond a, quote, practical impossibility. Now, Mr. Trump is banking on an appeals court pausing the judgment on accepting a smaller bond. Although the court is not expected to rule on Monday, it could do so later this week or next week. While waiting for the appeals court, Mr. Trump could cobble together a last-minute plan to come up with a collateral for a bond. He could still try for a quick sale of a property or other assets, or seek a loan from a bank or private equity firm. And he could reap a $3 billion windfall when shares of his social media companies start trading on the stock market as soon as Monday. Although he is prohibited from selling the shares and converting them into cash for 6 months, Mr. Trump could find ways around that restriction that would enable him to use his stake for the appeal bond. So obviously Trump is in a very tight spot, and never in our history as a country had we had an ex-president and perhaps a future president in, just like 7 or 8 months, if he does win the November election, which polls right now show that he does. Never in our history have we had an ex-president or perhaps a future president in this situation with all these cases against him and him owing the attorney general in one state $500 million in a bond case. Never have we had this happen before. This is definitely setting a precedent and not a great look for our country, no matter how you look at it. So maybe you're not the biggest fan of Trump and you're going to think that Trump got off the hook if he does get off the hook, or maybe you're more of a pro-Trump person and you're going to be happy if he does get out of this without any further damage that's taking place. Or if he is punished, then obviously you're going to think that the left is going against him and that they're trying to do everything in their power to keep Joe Biden in the presidency. But let me know your thoughts and comments below. How do you think this is going to unfold? And do you believe that Trump is being treated fairly in this case? Now, moving into our next story of today's video, and that is Joe Biden just issued a big warning for Social Security beneficiaries. He's saying that if Donald Trump is elected in November, and if he is not re-elected in November, then there's going to be a huge problem for Social Security, that the payments are going to be cut, and that Social Security and Medicare are going to be done for, and that Trump is coming for both Social Security and Medicare. So according to Newsweek, Joe Biden issues Social Security warning. So President Joe Biden has once again warned of the threat that Donald Trump would pose to Social Security if he wins back the White House. Trump was just 1 foot away from repealing the Affordable Care Act, Biden said in a post on X, formerly Twitter. Now he's determined to try again, running to terminate it and cut Medicare and Social Security while he's at it. I won't let it happen. When asked for comment, Trump spokesperson Stephen Chung told Newsweek on Sunday, crooked Joe Biden's cognitive decline must be getting worse because President Trump has consistently said he will not touch Social Security and Medicare. The president's comments come after Trump appeared to suggest in an interview earlier this month that he was open to making cuts to Social Security and Medicare after previously being opposed to touching the programs that millions of Americans rely on for financial and medical support. So on CNBC's Squawk Box, in response to a question about Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, Trump said there is a lot you can do in terms of entitlements, in terms of cutting, and in terms of also the theft about the bad management of entitlements. So Trump didn't come out in the interview and said that he wanted to cut Social Security or Medicare. He just talked about entitlements, and there's a lot of different, I guess, quote-unquote entitlement programs. I wouldn't even call Social Security an entitlement program, considering that people are paying in during their working careers, either 6.2 to 12.4% out of their paycheck. So I wouldn't even call Social Security or Medicare an entitlement program, but there are some, I guess, quote-unquote other entitlement programs that Trump might be open to cutting, but he didn't come out there and say Social Security and Medicare. So again, of course, it's not that big of a surprise that Joe Biden is going to come out and attack Trump on the issue. Social Security is obviously a huge issue in the United States of America. Most Americans are very in favor of Social Security, and they do not want to see it go away. So either party is going to do everything they can to attack the other side as far as these popular programs go. Now, of course, in some other Trump news, we had a senator in Alaska. She's actually a Republican, but she's one of the anti-Trump Republicans, one of the never-Trumper type people. And she's saying that she might actually consider leaving the Republican Party if Trump is once again elected, because she just does not, I guess, relate to other Republicans right now who are backing Trump in this race. So according to CNN, Lisa Murkowski, done with Donald Trump, won't rule out leaving the GOP. So the veteran Alaskan Republican, one of the 7 Republicans who voted to convict Trump in his second impeachment trial amid the aftermath of January 6, 2021, is done with the former president and said she, quote, absolutely would not vote for him. She said, I wish that as Republicans we had a nominee that I could get behind. I certainly can't get behind Donald Trump. The party's shift towards Trump has caused Murkowski to consider her future within the GOP. In the interview, she would not say if she would remain a Republican. Asked if she would become an independent, Murkowski said, quote, I think I'm very independent-minded, and she added, I just regret that our party is seemingly becoming a party of Donald Trump. Pressed on that if it meant she might become an independent, Murkowski said, I am navigating my way through some very interesting political times. Let's just leave it at that. So that's all we have for today's video. Certainly hope that you enjoyed and found value out of it. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate it if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video.